In the spirit of Woodward and Bernstein, CNN tracked down the dude who posted the Trump wrestling video. Now imagine if CNN went after violent rioters and looters the way they go after a crude prankster. Apparently the guy posted some pretty bad stuff in the past, but come on, CNN, you're starting to creep us out. Starting. In an article boasting about their scoop, CNN said they wouldn't publish the guy's name because he had already apologized, and also because he promised he wouldn't do it again. But then CNN adds they reserve the right to publish his identity should any of that change. That's crazy. So a network pursues a guy over a joke about them. Then after he's spooked, they grant him safety unless he misbehaves. How Corleone? We won't hurt you unless you cross us. Again, this isn't some violent thug who burned down a bodega. It's a guy who teased a network. Why would CNN do this? Is it to keep others from making fun of them? Yeah. In a statement, CNN claims the guy apologized before speaking to the reporter, as if being contacted initially by CNN wasn't the catalyst. Then they added conditions based on the guy's behavior. This is sinister, vindictive stuff. Whether it's trying to get Donald Trump tossed off Twitter or threatening to expose someone who hurt their feelings, CNN is now the shrill scold who can't bear being the butt of jokes. They're the old guy in an open robe shouting, "Get off my lawn." Actually, it's worse. CNN's that weird neighbor you got to invite to your party, because if you don't, he'll call the cops. CNN, the #1 name in lose.
Oof, that's good.
What drives me crazy, Kimberly, is how proud they were last night when they were announcing this scoop that they got this guy, that a multi-billion-dollar company found this little worm and plucked him out of the ground and crushed him.
It's unbelievable, right? I mean, this is like, okay, how do we make this really bad? It was already bad for us, but how do we just go all the way? Just like, wow, we just destroyed ourselves. Okay, so now they're HNN. Humorless News Network.
Right.
Like, you're scared of a wrestling video with like a CNN blockhead dancing around. I've never even heard of anything like this. It's so nuts, right?
Yeah. No, it's
and then
crazy.
you publish that to be like, dude, we're awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we're threatening people, we're blackmailing people, we're like, we're gonna shut you down.
No, it's,
I don't understand. They watch too many Godfather reruns.
Jesse, they're holding this over this guy's head. The whole thing is, they kept beating this dead horse of a meme, and then the dead horse reanimated and beat them back. It was like, oh, we're even going to take this further. Spend money on this.
That's right. Let's be honest. It's a logo that was getting beat up. It wasn't Wolf Blitzer's face.
Good point.
It was like a cartoon. It's slapstick.
Yes.
Nothing was being incited. I think CNN's drunk with power, but they think they have righteousness on their side, and they're not. They don't get to play judge, jury, and executioner with American citizens. And they're hypocrites, too. I mean, did CNN ever track down the ATF agents that sold guns to Mexico?
No.
The IRS agents that were just screwing around in Cincinnati?
Can't find them.
No, you can't find them. Were they outraged when Maxine Waters said she was going to, like, take a piece out of Ben Carson's ASS? Or when the Democrats had Paul Ryan push Granny off a cliff? They didn't care then. So Trump comes over here, exposes them. They're the emperor with no clothes all of a sudden. Nothing was incited. The only thing that's actually been incited are Democrats shooting Republicans.
Yeah. Juan, this guy was a private citizen. He was concealing his identity. True, he was posting bigoted stuff, but he's still a private citizen, and threatening him with outing because he has these opinions is kind of creepy, don't you think?
I agree. I think it's way over the line. And you know what's interesting? I was writing about this because it was 4th of July, and I'm a big free speech advocate. And I just happen to think that too often big companies now are in position where they're the ones who determine what's legitimate speech in America because of their power in terms of advertising and voice, like what happened at the Julius Caesar play, for example. But here, what's interesting to me about this one is, you know, there are people who go online and say the most awful things about not only the president and public officials, but the people around this table. They say horrible things.
Not about me, though.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. Yeah, because you only get the trolling from San Francisco. But like the Anti-Defamation League said this guy for 18 months had been saying things like, oh, it's a Jewish cabal that runs CNN. Oh, and what about those N-word people and nasty things about... This is not some sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
But everybody, including me, ran to defend him and say, hey, CNN, you went over the line. But including Donald Trump Jr., who said he was a 15-year-old, made it seem all the more egregious. In fact, he's no 15-year-old. He's an adult man. And he should be apologizing.
But the interesting thing is the age thing is actually irrelevant because the reporter didn't know that until he chased the guy down.
Right.
Dana, CNN has made a huge mistake, and if you go on Twitter now, there's nothing but CNN memes because once you expose,
Why they say don't feed the trolls.
yeah, but once you,
This is why you don't do it.
yeah, if you expose your weakness, say if I tell you guys I don't like seafood, the first you guys do is you start eating shrimp.
Eat shrimp in the green room.
But that's
Icy water.
But remember, like when your cousin would like, basically hit you in the head, like, why do you keep hitting yourself?
Right, yeah,
And you're
yeah.
Like, I'm not hitting but that's what they were doing. If they would have just said, well played, Mr. President, how's your health care bill going?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that would have been fine, and like that could have dealt with that news cycle. But the thing that amazes me about this is that the punishing of the artist,
Yeah.
no matter who they are. So I was saying in the green room that, remember the Benghazi video maker?
Mm-hmm.
So the Obama administration, the government in that case, tracks down this guy who made a video, which was his right to do, and they put him in jail for
Awful.
based on some sort of like, what was it,
On a
parole violation?
No, it wasn't even
Something-
probation.
probation
even worse.
violation.
You don't go to jail
and
for
he
that.
was in jail forever.
Yeah. He was, and that was basically instead of blaming terror, blame a video. Instead of just taking your lump with this, you go after
Turn
to
it
find
on
some
him.
kid.
Flip it.
It doesn't even matter who does the meme. The meme has a life of its own. That's what happens in the internet. You don't know where it comes from.
And you don't think Trump is going to now retweet a bunch of these anti-Semites? He's probably got a bunch in the hopper right now ready
Did
to
you
go.
see the Breitbart one with the Andrew Breitbart? Was
But I'm curious, you guys don't see anything wrong with Trump posting this video, this
I'll tell you-
juvenile video?
Come on,
No,
Jon
I-
Stewart made fun of Republicans for years, and CNN just kissed his butt. And then all of a sudden, Trump mocks CNN, and they're outraged. Come on.
The president of the United States puts out, I mean, you know, it's just to me seemed like he was sticking it to CNN.
It's modern day
sticking it to
presidential one.
Hang on, sticking it to American media. You've had. I forget what state it was. The candidate, the special election, was it Kansas or something?
Georgia?
But
Who
Juan,
slammed
that's my
body
point.
slammed the
That's
report
actually,
Montana?
and actually, you're
Wrestling's
supporting my
fake
point.
one, by the way.
That
It's not
wasn't
real.
fake.
Wait, he's
When he's
supporting my
body
point.
slammed
Let
that
me
wrestling
reporter,
is
that
fake.
wasn't
Dana,
fake.
Dana.
women everywhere are going to scream at you guys for not letting us talk.
You
okay,
two
look.
cut down.
Yes.
What you're saying is that CNN should basically have taken it seriously.
Yes.
But in order to take it seriously, but to play the game in the new modern day presidential, you got to flip it around. You got to keep it funny and make that person then have to be on their heels trying to explain something. If the president says he actually really wants to talk about policy and he's frustrated that the media won't cover it, yes, he's giving them things to do, but turn it back around on him and make him answer those policy questions.
What if CNN, not speaking to CNN, but just as a media person, what if they took it seriously? They don't like being the target of that
Well,
kind
look,
of
you know, we
too
work at Fox
seriously.
News, and we're no stranger to being
Yeah.
Oh my God,
targeted
I
for
agree.
ridicule.
Get some thicker skin.
Is the
Imagine if
president
we
of the
did
United
that and
States-
behaved like that. Like everyone takes shots at us all day long. And guess what? Fantastic.
By the way, we're gonna-
CNN stepping
I
on
didn't-
the throat and the neck of the First Amendment here.
I
It's
didn't
bad
see
form.
President Obama throwing us on the ground. And
Oh man, he
stepping
mentioned
on our face.
FNC all the time.
He talks
Oh, no.
about us
Didn't he?
all the time.
But he wasn't trying to be funny about it.
No.
President
No, he was-
Trump is being funny.
He was just he was throwing shade at us left and right.
He also
Why I'm
tapped
so
Jane
pale.
Rosen's phones, too, so he was targeting us a little bit.
The other thing too about this story, CNN, according to the Daily Wire, may have actually targeted the wrong person. This
Right.
might not be the original. The guy who originated the meme, so they're
Fake
going
news.
after the wrong guy. Apparently, allegedly, I just got two
Call the
sources.
Innocence Project.
All right, is CNN guilty of a crime for threatening to identify the anonymous creator of the video? Ted Cruz, remember him?
Yeah.
Dashing young fellow. Opening the law books on that possibility. That's next.
Back now to CNN's apparent threat to expose the identity of the person who posted that now famous Trump body slamming video. According to Senator Ted Cruz, who's a constitutional lawyer, the cable news network may have committed a crime. The senator cited laws in both Georgia and New York, implying CNN could be in big trouble. So, KG, could CNN be in trouble here?
Well, this is just a legal smorgasbord, if I may say, because you've got possibilities here of Georgia, where they're headquartered, but they also have headquarters here in New York in terms of a big base, right over there by Time Warner Center. So you can say that perhaps they violated the laws of, extortion and blackmail by saying, if you don't do, then we're going to expose you, which would subject the person to personal liability, potentially physical harm for themselves and their family, which is very serious. So that's why they really drew the ire and wrath of the left and the right and everybody and people who champion free speech and the First Amendment, like Juan had pointed out. But there's also, in particular, something very interesting under federal law, 18 U.S.C. 241, and it's called conspiracy against rights. This statute makes it a crime for two or more persons to agree together to threaten or intimidate a person in their free exercise of their constitutional rights. And in this case, it would be the First Amendment. I think this one would be, more compelling. Now, do I think this is ultimately going to go to court or something like that, or someone's going to bring charges? Doubtful. There may be complaints filed, that type of thing. People are already trying to do that with the FCC as it relates to CNN for willfully proffering false information and stories that they knew to be false because of some of the tapes and the undercover reports. So there's a lot of things kind of in the mix. You have to separate what's, partisan and ideological and what is purely on a legal, legitimate, or constitutional basis. But this definitely is an open question. It's just a matter of how far people are willing to take it. And again, like I said, there's three options. You've got state law, New York, Georgia, or federal law.
Right, so if they do threaten to expose this guy's identity or his address, because that's going to come next, you'll have people descending on this guy's house and making phone calls and harassing him. That's dangerous.
Yeah, well, you know what the other danger that CNN should think about is that they're justifying the same actions against themselves. You can know, like the press has for the longest time been claiming an exemption. Like they're in a special class, like we do God's work here, and we cannot be threatened by the president, but we can threaten you, but you can't threaten us. Now all bets are off. Now when you do stuff like this, it's like, oh yeah, you do that to me, I'm gonna do that to you. And CNN has still not explained why they withheld information based on conditions about behavior. That's the problem here, I think.
Well, so Dana, they say in their statement, they were transparent about the guy, not, coming forward with his address or identity because they wanted to make sure that there was no deal. Does that even make sense to you?
No, I wish so much that I could go back in time and be in the room when they were crafting the statement and the press release and the PR department. The CNN PR department, honestly, let's say their PR, they've had a really rough couple of weeks. People who have been under the gun for a long time.
We've been through that.
Fox PR. If you're at a White House, anything, you just feel that constant pressure. Just stop hitting yourself. You're just making it worse.
That's true. Juan, could you imagine if CNN goes down for a fake video?
I don't think there's any way. I think Kimberly's right. It's not going to happen. But you know what's striking to me is when you see the politicians like Ted Cruz get involved, you know that the right is delighting in the grievance
Don't you think Ted's kind of joking?
Oh, I don't know if he's joking. I hope he's joking, but we're doing an additional segment on it. I just think the right is thrilled with this story. But let me just tell you.
If Juan doesn't like the story, that means it's good.
Right, it's the law of the universe.
What really alarms me is when you have this guy who says that he goes online, he participates. Greg, pay attention to me on this one.
I'm going to respond.
He participates, and he got a kick out of using the N-word and calling people nasty for being Jewish and all that. Because he just wanted to get a reaction from the other subs.
Right.
And so he was doing this, but he didn't really mean it. That's not who he is. He's really a nice person. He didn't mean to incite any violence against anyone. But this is bad behavior, and it goes on online all the time.
But Juan, it doesn't matter.
Are mad at CNN. Why aren't you mad and talking about this jerk?
Juan, it doesn't matter because the meme exists independently. Nobody owns that reputation because if Trump retweets that meme, he has no idea any about this stuff. And by the way, they might be wrong on who the person is, so the whole story falls apart. The fact is, and you say Ted Cruz is going after delighting in CNN's problems.
No,
we've had that same problem. The left loves it when Fox News is in trouble. Believe me.
But I'm just saying this is an eye for an eye. This is a fool's errand.
CNN every Sunday should crap on us.
We should defend free speech.
An eye for an eye, Juan. Let's not talk violence. Okay. Coming up, from terrorist to multi-millionaire. Why is former Gitmo detainee a confessed killer of one of our troops getting a massive payout and apology from Canada? That obscene outrage up next.